What's good? It's your boy Fanon. Okay, so the rumor is, this is a rumor by Boxing Scene, that Demetrius Andrade is going to sign with Matchroom Boxing. Matchroom USA. If that is the case, then Demetrius Andrade has definitely proven that he doesn't want fights. Demetrius Andrade if this is true, Demetrius Andrade goes right down where what most people have been saying about him, that he's a phony, that he doesn't want major fights, that he basically is, that any type of good fight that comes up, he tries to find a way to wiggle out of. Now, I have no doubt that he'll get some $1 million paydays because this Matchroom couldn't get anybody else in the U.S. so far. But Demetrius Andrade is a talented middleweight, and now he's a promotional free agent because he bought himself out of his contract with All Star Boxing. The contract that he tried to get out of and really did start the down spiral of his career with when he tried to sign with Rock Nation, where Rock Nation had offered him, this too good to believe package for him to turn down the Jermell Charlo bout. And by the way, it turned out to be too good to be true because he then, Demetrius Andrade, they then pulled out of the whole deal. But to sign with Matchroom Boxing just tells me this guy in Matchroom USA tells me he's trying to stay out of harm's way. Because now he's putting himself in a position where he knows none of the major fights, none of the tough fights at at middleweight can happen. He was ordered by the WBO to take a mandatory title defense against Billy Joe Saunders, right? Billy Joe Saunders, we know, is promoted by Frank Warren. Frank Warren is at odds with Matchroom Boxing. It's just known that those guys don't like to do business together. And it would make any type of negotiation between fighters that are represented by the two difficult. I'm not educated on to the point where I know whether or not it's impossible or not for the two to work together. But there was already talk that Demetrius Andrade was not going to take this fight against Billy Joe Saunders. But so that's one fight that, and I'll get onto the Matchroom side again. And here I'm not even going to necessarily talk about Eddie Hearn. I'm just going to, well, I guess I have to. But it seems as if I don't see what good Matchroom Boxing is doing in the United States. And here I'm just going to leave out the personal lies and all that stuff and the reason I don't trust Eddie Hearn and just look at how many fights that Matchroom Boxing has stood in the way of just in the last month. Just in the last 2 months. It almost seems as if you don't want a fight to happen, you can count on Matchroom Boxing to make sure it doesn't. Matchroom Boxing has stood in the way of, and I don't care what you guys say, stood in the way of Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua. There was a purse bid that took place between Pulev and Dillian White that they walked away from. Another one with Jarrell Miller and Pulev that they walked away from. Another one with Dillian White and Luis Ortiz that they walked away from. All of these are good fights that could happen that don't get made if everything isn't in line with what Matchroom Boxing wants to happen. Now you have potentially a bout between Billy Joe Saunders and Demetrius Andrade, which should be a good fight. And one that I was like, man, Demetrius Andrade, you got to make this fight. If you don't make this fight, it's just, there's no room to believe that this guy's that he's serious. There's just no reason to believe that Demetrius Andrade is serious about being a champion because he's not unintelligent. Everybody that he wants to fight is with one or two networks. They're either with Showtime or they're with HBO in the middleweight division. One or two in the middleweight division. Jermall Charlo is with Showtime and ain't going anywhere. Canelo Alvarez is with HBO, and he ain't going anywhere. Gennady Golovkin is with HBO, and he's not going anywhere. For the United States, Billy Joe Saunders is he's a free agent, but he's signed with BT and signed with BT and Frank Warren over in the UK. I don't know what fight that they would air Billy Joe Saunders and Demetrius Andrade on, but in the United States on DAZN, that seems to me to be a money grab. And hey, kudos to him for taking Eddie Hearn's money. If the money's there and he needs somebody to sign and to say that he signed an American fighter, Demetrius Andrade is the one. You can have him. Because clearly, this dude does not want to fight, man. Clearly, he doesn't want to be checked. Even when you heard him on the interview, shout out to my man, Cornerman Radio, when he was talking on Cornerman Radio's interview, and he said, Cornerman Radio was like, man, you should sign with, I would love to see you sign with the PBC because, these guys are getting good fights for people. The cats are making good money. And he said, well, if that's what presents himself the best, maybe, but if not, I'll go another way. If this rumor is true, clearly the other way is with Eddie Hearn and with Matchroom USA. And he said in that interview that he's like, you're not going to force me to fight on a Golden Boy card against a Golden Boy fighter. What? Dude, if you want to get the belt, that's why he passed up on this last, I don't know if it was Vargas, whoever the guy's name is in the fight he was supposed to take, he passed that up. Now you got the WBO ordering a Billy Joe Saunders fight, and I don't even see, how that can be made. I don't even see how that can be made. Anyway, man, let me go through the details of the report from Boxing Scene, man. I'm telling you, man, Demetrius Andrade is 30 years old. If it's a money grab that's just, hey, man, good money grab. But it said that Boxing Scene has learned that Andrade's manager is in the process of finalizing a promotional deal with Matchroom USA. As part of a multi-fight agreement, Andrade's bouts will be streamed live in the United States on DAZN, a streaming service with which Matchroom recently partnered. Here's the get, though. The WBA ordered a Saunders Andrade fight Tuesday because Brooklyn's Daniel Jacobs, the WBO's #1 middleweight challenger, agreed to a deal Tuesday to fight Ukraine's Sergey Deverenchenko for the vacant IBF middleweight title. WBO gave Frank Warren, Saunders' promoter, and Ferris a 10-day window Thursday within which they could come to an agreement for the Saunders-Andrade fight. The WBO stated that it would order a purse bid if Warren and Ferris couldn't reach a deal within 10 days. Hearn could bid on the Saunders-Andrade fight if Warren and Harris can't make a deal. It isn't clear, however, if Andrade will pursue a fight with England Saunders or facing another opponent in his first fight with the deal. Look, man, how in the world how you can pay? It's like I don't know. Now I have to see the deal and all that to know specific, but I do know for certain in a purse bid that the majority of the money for the purse bid goes to the champion. It might be a 75-25 split. I'm not 60-30 split, whatever it is with the depending on what the WBO's rules are on that. I'm not sure what the percentage split is. But if Demetrius Andrade is set for a certain amount, a certain dollar fee per fight for whatever 3 fights, whatever the multi-fight deal is, if that's the case, then whatever that basement that he has to be paid, 25% of that being 25% or 30% of the total purse would really elevate how much money they would have to offer for Billy Joe Saunders, for that fight to be made. Which tells me, dude, that there's more than likely that fight's not going to get made. Now, it might get made. This is just my guess on it. But it really didn't sound like Demetrius Andrade wanted to fight anyway. Because he said he needed more fights, to get more fights under his belt so he can get a couple fights under his belt and he can warm up and then he can be ready to go. But if he ducks out of a mandatory fight against a champion and he already dropped 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 out of a fight where he signed to fight Jermell Charlo. I mean, what good is this guy? What good is this dude? So you want to join partners with Matchroom Boxing to try to convince people to pay a certain amount of money a month to watch you fight cats that you have no chance of losing, to on the zone? Instead of just stepping up and fighting the champion? Man, I got no time for Demetrius Andrade, man. I got no time for Demetrius Andrade. Boo Boo is officially Boo Boo. Okay, I never liked the name Boo Boo anyway because it was just way too easy to make a joke like that. But man, if this is true and he takes, I don't care about him signing with the Zone. Whatever, he can sign with the Zone. He can sign with Matchroom. Personally, knowing Demetrius Andrade, being familiar with Demetrius Andrade and the way he's handled business before, he just wants to get some money for not fighting nobody. And if he wants to get paid for not fighting anybody, taking place in three mismatches, and then at the end of that renegotiate his contract, that seems like what he would be willing to do. And that's all you're going to be able to do on the Zone. Right? Because you cannot fight any of the big middleweights, the big name middleweights in the United States on the Zone. Not Demetrius, not even Daniel Jacobs, who's promoted by Matchroom, because he's got an exclusive deal with HBO. But I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on with you East Coast cats, man. I mean, it seems like a lot of these East Coast cats, are finding like dealing with snakes, man. But anyway, good luck to him in the fight, however he goes, man. But seriously, it's like I said, man, Demetrius Andrade, if he does not take this Billy Joe Saunders fight, it just secures what I think about him and further lets me know that Matchroom Boxing is in the business is really in the business in the United States of standing in the way of fights that people want to see. Again, in the United States, it seems as if Matchroom Boxing is in the business of standing in the way of fights that people want to see. And if you really want to make sure you don't have to fight anybody and you're going to get a nice little cakewalk, go ahead and join Matchroom Boxing and go fight on the Zone where ain't nobody going to watch you fight. And you can get a 3-year deal. You can get a 3-fight deal with some guaranteed money. You can get some guaranteed money. Who knows? When you deal with shysters, you never know for sure. But anyway, it is what it is. And I remain solid on this. If Demetrius Andrade doesn't take this fight with Jermall Charlo, then Boo Boo, not with Jermall Charlo, but with Billy Joe Saunders, then Boo Boo's Boo Boo. And I don't give a boo boo about Boo Boo. You know what I mean? Anyway, with that, I'm out. Peace.